Hi students, this is A. Mandri Kumar Rajesh. In this video, we are going to discuss a topic called types of steel. First, you must understand what is called steel. Steel can be defined as central vascular cylinder with or without pith, and that structure is called as steel. Steel na enna appdin pathina, it is a vascular cylinder, centered vascular cylinder with pith. Pith irukkalam, pith illamalum irukkalam. அந்த ரீஜியனை தான் நம்ம என்னன்னு சொல்றோம், ஸ்டீல் அப்படின்ட்டு சொல்றோம். சரிங்களா? So vascular cylinder includes vascular tissues like xylem, phloem, pericycle, medullary rays. அதுல pith சென்டர்ல இருக்கலாம், இல்லாமலும் இருக்கலாம். அதை தான் நம்ம என்னன்னு சொல்றோம், ஸ்டீல்னு சொல்றோம். சரிங்களா? Then the term steel is derived from Greek. In Greek, steel means pillar. So steel அப்படிங்கிற டேர்ம் வந்து எதுல இருந்து டெரைவ் ஆயிருக்கு, கிரீக்ல இருந்து டெரைவ் ஆயிருக்கு. கிரீக்ல ஸ்டீல்னா என்ன அர்த்தம், பில்லர் அப்படின்ட்டு அர்த்தம், தூண் அப்படின்ட்டு அர்த்தம். சரிங்களா? Then steel can be classified into two types. They are steel can be classified into two types. They are Protosteel and Ssiphonosteel. Protosteel includes haplosteel, then actinosteel, the third type is plectosteel, and the fourth type is mixed protosteel. The fourth type is mixed protosteel. Then Ssiphonosteel includes ectofolic Ssiphonosteel, and the second type is amphifolic Ssiphonosteel. The third type is solenosteel. The third type is solenosteel. This solenosteel again divided into two types. They are ectofolic solenosteel, amphifolic solenosteel. Then the fourth type is dictyosteel. The fourth type is dictyosteel. Then the fifth type is U-steel. The sixth type is atactosteel. Then the final type is, the seventh type is polycyclic steel. Polycyclic steel. So Ssiphonosteel can be classified into, or it includes the types of steel called ectofolic Ssiphonosteel or amphifolic Ssiphonosteel. Then solenosteel. Again, solenosteel can be divided into two types: ectofolic solenosteel, amphifolic solenosteel. Then the fourth type is dictyosteel, U-steel, atactosteel, and polycyclic steel. Now I am going to tell about protosteel and its types in detail. Let us talk about protosteel and its type. Protosteel can be defined as the xylem which surrounds the phloem is called, that steel is called as protosteel. So this is the structure of protosteel. Here this region is called the xylem and this region is called the phloem. So xylem is surrounded by phloem and that type of steel is known as protosteel. Protosteel is the primitive type of steel. Then its type, haplosteel. Haplosteel is also a primitive type of steel which resembles protosteel. So haplosteel means the xylem which surrounds the phloem is called as haplosteel. Example, Selaginella. Xylem is surrounded by the phloem and that type of steel is called as haplosteel. Example, Selaginella. It is also a primitive type of steel. Then actinosteel. Actinosteel is somewhat advanced than haplosteel and it is a modification of haplosteel. Actinosteel என்ன அப்படினு பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது advanced than haplosteel. சரிங்களா? And it is a modification of haplosteel. Actinosteel வந்து modification of haplosteel. Example, Lycopodium serratum. So this is the structure of actinosteel. Here you can find a star-shaped xylem. A star-shaped xylem is surrounded by phloem. So this region is called this phloem. So a star-shaped xylem is surrounded by phloem and that type of steel is called this actinosteel. Example, Lycopodium serratum. So actinosteel is a modification of haplosteel. It is somewhat advanced than haplosteel. The star-shaped xylem is surrounded by phloem and that type of steel is called as actinosteel. Then the third type, plectosteel. Plectosteel is the most advanced type of steel which is present in protosteel. Plectosteel is the most advanced type of steel which is present in protosteel. In this steel, xylem plates are alternate with phloem plates. So this region is called xylem and this region is called phloem. The xylem plates are alternate with phloem plates and that type of steel is called this plectosteel. Example, Lycopodium clavatum. Then the fourth type of steel is called mixed protosteel. Mixed protosteel means the xylem groups are uniformly scattered in the phloem. Xylem groups are uniformly scattered in the phloem and that type of steel is called this mixed protosteel. Example, Lycopodium cernum. So that's all about protosteel. Now I am going to tell about the second type, Ssiphonosteel. Let us talk about the next type of steel called Ssiphonosteel. Ssiphonosteel can be defined as xylem surrounded by phloem with pith at the center and that type of steel is called Ssiphonosteel. So the major difference between the protosteel and the Ssiphonosteel is pith. In protosteel, pith is absent. In the Ssiphonosteel, pith is present. Then its type, Ssiphonosteel types. Ssiphonosteel types can be called as ectofolic Ssiphonosteel, amphifolic Ssiphonosteel, solenosteel. Solenosteel again classified into three types, ectofolic solenosteel, amphifolic solenosteel and dictyosteel. So in earlier I told you solenosteel can be divided into two types. Sorry, I wrongly tell that information because solenosteel divided into three types. They are ectofolic solenosteel, amphifolic solenosteel and dictyosteel. Then eusteel, atactosteel and polycyclic steel. Now I am going to define all the type of Ssiphonosteel. Ectofolic Ssiphonosteel can be defined as the xylem concentric ring surrounds the pith next to the xylem concentric phloem concentric ring is present. So this is the structure of ectofolic Ssiphonosteel. So this region is called as xylem. The xylem concentric ring surrounds the pith. So this region is called as pith. This region is called as pith. So xylem concentric ring surrounds the pith. Next to xylem, phloem concentric ring is present, and that type of steel is called as ectofolic Ssiphonosteel. Example Asmunda. Example Asmunda. Then the second type, amphifolic Ssiphonosteel. Amphi means the phloem surrounds the xylem on both sides. The phloem surrounds the xylem on the both sides with pith at the center, and that type of steel is called amphifolic Ssiphonosteel. Example Marsilia. So here this structure is called as xylem. So xylem is surrounded by phloem on both sides and pith at the center, and that type of steel is called as amphifolic Ssiphonosteel. Example Marsilia. Then the third type, Solinosteel. The third type, Solinosteel. Solinosteel can be defined as xylem is surrounded by phloem, pith at the center, and it contains leaf gap. So this is the structure of Solinosteel. This is the phloem, this is the xylem, and pith at the center. It contains leaf gap. This region is called as leaf gap. So Solinosteel contains leaf gap, while in the case of Ssiphonosteel, leaf gap is absent. In Ssiphonosteel, leaf gap is absent. In the case of Solinosteel, xylem is surrounded by phloem, pith at the center, and it contains leaf gap. That is why it is called as Solinosteel. Solinosteel can be again divided into three types. They are ectofolic Solinosteel. Example Asmunda. Xylem, which is surrounded by the phloem, pith at the center, and it contains the leaf gap. That Solinosteel is called as ectofolic Solinosteel. Example Asmunda. Amphifolic Solinosteel. The same. Xylem is surrounded by phloem on the both sides, pith at the center, and it contains leaf gap. It is called as amphifolic Solinosteel. Example Adiantum pedatum. Then the third type, Dictyosteel. In this type, the steel is split into separate or distinct vascular bundles. So here you can find several vascular bundles. And that type of steel is called as Dictyosteel. Example Adiantum capillus veneris. Then the fourth type, U-steel. So this is the advanced type of steel. This type of steel is present in Dictyosteel. So in this type, the steel is split into distinct collateral vascular bundle around the pith. So this is the structure of U-steel. In this steel, the steel is split into distinct collateral vascular bundle around the pith. This is the pith. So vascular bundles are around the pith. It looks like a ring. So it is called this U-steel. Example Dicotstum. Atactosteel means the steel is split into distinct collateral vascular bundles, and that vascular bundles are scattered on the ground tissue. So this is the structure of atactosteel. Here the vascular bundles are scattered on the ground tissue. Here the vascular bundles are scattered on the ground tissue, and that type of steel is called as Pteridophytes, example monocot stem. Then the final one is polycyclic steel, example pteridium. Polycyclic steel means the vascular concentric rings are more than one. So more than one vascular concentric rings are present in the steel, and that type of steel is called as polycyclic steel, example pteridium. So that's all about the types of steel. If you have any doubt, please clarify with me. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.